Okay, if you've been shooting photos using a backdrop with just a sheet and a bounce flash, then you're going to want to move on at some stage to a bit more of an elaborate setup, a bit of a larger setup. And what you're going to need at that point is 2, 3 or even 4 studio lights, such as these ones. We're using Brollies and softboxes. And also you're going to need a white background, a proper background. Now we haven't ironed this, but there are ways of blowing that out so that we can do later on. But if you want to get it absolutely perfect, make sure you iron your background, make sure it's no shadows, no creases, and then you'll get a much nicer smoothness to the background. Now we're going to talk about this a bit later, but let's just explain quickly what equipment you need and why. Now you will need, I say minimum of 2 lights, because with this kind of background you're going to want to make the background slightly lighter or 2 stops brighter than the foreground. So when you expose for the foreground, the background will completely shine and it should go completely white. But as I said, we'll discuss this later, but for now, the setup you're going to need is 2 lights to light the background and then 1 or 2 lights to light the foreground, and they have to be managed a bit differently, but we'll explain that again later. If you've only got 3 lights, you can have 1 main light with a softbox for your subject and then 2 flashlights set slightly higher power for the background. If you've only got 2 lights and things like these modelling lights we're using here, or one of them for the videoing, if you've only got 1 of those, then it's very difficult to try and get, unless you've got a super high powered light, to try and match those lightness. But you're also going to get a difference in the white balance, because the white balance to the lights could be different. One is strobes, one is continuous light. So you're better off having 3 or 4 studio lights or flashlights. Now bear in mind, if you only have 2 studio lights, you can also use your speed light or a setup of a couple of speed lights, which will help set it off. So if you're on a budget, you can use a white sheet for a background, 2 studio lights and 1 or 2 speed lights with diffusers to actually light the subject. So that's really your basic setup if you want to start moving on from your isolated shots away from just a bounce flash and a white sheet in the background.